Change your heart, change your life, change the planet. Welcome to my woods. Taking a boot walk behind my house. It is a gorgeous, sunny, frigid day, and I'm all bundled up and I'm listening to the book Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath. I'm getting a lot of good tidbits about decision making as I walk through the woods. So far there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I recommend Decisive. And I got that one from Audible. A lot of you ask me where I get my books. That one was from Audible. Before I left the house, I was listening to a show on NPR, and they were talking about the multiverse and parallel universes, and how it's possible that in a parallel universe, Buddy Holly and Elvis and John Lennon are still alive and playing music. How cool would that be? That anything is possible in these parallel universes, and there could be another version of me, and he's better looking, and he's got more money, and he's got a hot lady friend. Well, I've been thinking about that because people love this idea of these parallel universes that are so similar to ours, right? Like in Planet of the Apes, when Mark Wahlberg at the end of the movie ends up on the Lincoln Memorial, and he's thinking, yes, you know, I'm back in civilization. But then he looks at the statue of Lincoln and it's the face of an ape, and he's like, because apparently he's gone into a parallel universe. So let's talk about that, all right? Basically the idea is this: in a multiverse, you've got these membranes. We don't know what they are. It's all mathematically conceptual. And in these membranes, there are the seeds of universe building. And when these membranes touch, the interaction, the connection of those two membranes causes a universe to form. Ours is just one of many, an infinite number, possibly. This is all theoretical. It's not guaranteed, it's not fact, it's just theoretical. So our universe is one of these possible interactions of these two membranes coming together and bubbling. It's called M theory. Anyway, if that is true, and say that interaction caused 2 similar universes or 100 similar universes at once, the seeds would be the same. It's like we're taking the same seeds, but planting them now in different soil. So the beginning, the material is the same, but how that material evolves is going to be totally different. Maybe the laws of each of those universes are the same, because that's important. If you read Martin Rees's book on, I forget what it's called, but it's a fascinating book on how 6 numbers basically control everything that goes on in our universe. And that if any one of those 6 numbers changed, our universe would be dramatically different. So let's say that there are universes like ours, identical to ours in the beginning. At the point of inception, the seeds that were sown were the same. And the numbers that control those universes are the same. Well, that's where it stops. See, the universe is not uniform. Our universe is expanding asymmetrically. It's not expanding at exactly the same speed and in exactly the same shape in all directions. It's growing faster in some areas than it is in others. And so it's not uniform. It's a universe, but not uniform. And this would also be the case in these other universes. So there would be no constancy or consistency. There would not be 2 Tim Van Ordens in another parallel universe, one here and one there. And there wouldn't be a Buddy Holly or a John Lennon or an Elvis. See, because we like to believe in this me-centric belief that, okay, everything in the universe, these 2 parallel universes, was identical up until the point where John Lennon got shot. And then, you know, something changed in that moment. Well, if things can change in these parallel universes, things can be different, that means they've been different the whole time. Back to my point about the only thing that's similar are the seeds that were sown. So those 2 universes, even though they're parallel and started with the same seeds, with the same numbers, the same laws controlling them, they would have totally, totally different outcomes. There may not be humans at all. In fact, it's highly unlikely that there would be humans or even mammals in this parallel universe. It'd be totally different. So it's a nice idea that there's another me in another universe, but it's really kind of egocentric. You know, we want to believe that we matter. We want to believe that we have significance. There's a part of our brain that's job is to tell us that we have significance. And it drives us to get recognition. It drives us to be respected by our peers. And that's also where most of our problems come from culturally and individually. This drive, this need for significance, this need to be recognized, celebrated. And it's that same part of the brain that wants to believe that there are other universes where I'm also really important, but I wouldn't exist there. Because the number of interactions that had to take place over the past 14 billion years to get me here where I am right now, the chances of them happening again, just for me we're talking about, not for anything else, but just for me, the number of interactions that would have to happen exactly the same way are just unfathomably staggering, infinitely impossible. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. Yeah, there's a good chance that there is a multiverse in more than one universe. Yeah, it's possible that there are parallel universes made of the same seeds as ours, but there being a me or a John Lennon or an Elvis, yeah, just statistically so far out of anything that's conceivable that, yeah, I'm not buying it. Sells books though, gets people all excited and makes them write science fiction, fantasy movies and whatnot, but it really is, it's just fantasy, it's science fiction, people. Okay, so that's my rambling about that. And what else do I want to talk about as I wander through the woods? I want to talk about trees. I love trees. They're amazing. I read a book, and I forget the name of the book. I have to look it up, maybe one of you guys will know, but they talk about how we use trees so ignorantly, so carelessly, so brutishly, that my dad, for instance, sees this as either wood for the fire, or he sees it as maple syrup. It's a maple tree. And other people might see them as shade or decoration around their house, building material. But this guy in this book, oh, it's called Cradle to Cradle. That's the book. Cradle to Cradle. And he printed it on recycled plastic. It's a book printed on plastic rather than paper because he didn't want to reduce this magnificent tree to a book or something that we wipe our butts with. How rude is that? Anyway, he lists off all these magical things, not really magical, but pretty cool things that a tree can do, like sequester carbon from the atmosphere and release oxygen. Do you know how hard it is for human beings with all of our technology right now in 2015 to create a machine that can sequester carbon and release oxygen? It's not easy to do, but that tree can do it. That tree also provides habitat for who knows how many creatures that are living underneath in the snow. It's warming up the snow and the ground under there. And there's all kinds of guys hanging out. And in the older trees where there are holes in them, there are all kinds of little rodents and creatures hanging out and living in there. And he goes on and on and on about what a tree can do, providing food, cleaning the water, keeping water in the ground, preventing erosion. Again, each one of these things is something that human beings haven't really found great solutions for. How do we stop erosion? Well, we plant trees. We don't have a machine that does it. How do we clean groundwater? Well, we've got all these chemicals that we put into filtration systems, you know, for city water supplies, but a tree can help do that too. And a tree can help keep water in the ground. So they can help with areas dealing with drought. So it's really a shame that we use trees the way we do. We look at them as physical commodities rather than these brilliant machines that are so far advanced and can do so much more than the technology that we currently have. And if that weren't the case, then chopping down the Amazon wouldn't be a bad idea, because hey, we'll just invent machines and we'll put them all over the Amazon forest and we'll produce oxygen and sequester carbon. But we can't do that yet, because these guys are better at that job than anything we've created. And what do? We burn them. We wipe our butts with them. We write trashy novels on them to get ended up in a used bookstore sale at a church bazaar or something like that. I don't know. Speaking of which, here's a tree that I used to climb in when I was a kid. It's an old maple tree. It's probably, well, a couple 100 years old. It's huge. So get up close. It's probably 5-6 feet in diameter. And it's finally dead. It's lost all of its giant branches. And we used to climb in that tree. We had a tree fort in it. We've sugared this tree many times, and now it's finally said bye-bye. How's your day going? I'm going to hang out on my good friend the tree here and catch a little sun. Where's the sun? There it is right there. You know, when I was a kid, I read the book The Giving Tree, and it profoundly affected me and really helped to shape who I am as a human being, even at a young age. I was mortified by that book, how selfish that little boy was, and how the tree gave everything and the boy really gave nothing in return and didn't even consider the tree, wasn't mindful of the tree, just took and didn't really ever say thank you, and didn't really ever appreciate what the tree was offering and giving and how it affected the tree. And I know it's a story, but we're doing the same thing. We take and take and take and take from the world, and what do we get back? And do we consider the impact of what we're taking and the choices we're making? Yes, the branches are breaking. On the ground we are forsaking. So that's what I'm thinking about out here on a cold, beautiful day, wandering around, totally bundled up and nice and toasty inside my 3 jackets and 4 tech shirts. I am really comfortable. I could probably take a nap right here, just make a little snow bed and go to sleep. I get comments on a pretty regular basis from people saying, how can you live in a place like that? That winter is horrible. It's so oppressive. How can you take it? Why are you making yourself suffer like that? Why don't you leave? I'm happy. I'm having a great time. I'm not suffering at all right now. I'm really, really enjoying my walk. I'm getting some great stuff out of this book, and I'm having some really neat thoughts, and I'm looking at some beautiful scenery, and it's peaceful and quiet, and I'm getting a great workout. I'm not sure what's so horrible about this environment. I know a lot of people complain about it, and a lot of people fight it and resist it. But when you stop resisting what is, when you stop resisting what the world is giving you, and you start preparing yourself for it and start using it and taking advantage of it, it's pretty amazing what you can do. But when you fight it and you resist it and you wish that it were different, well, that's where your problems come from. You know, you can't always run away from your problems. There's not a tropical solution to every problem that awaits you. But if you really get present to the environment you're in and take an inventory of what you can do to prepare for it and then enjoy it, well, sky's the limit. You could be out here taking a walk with me, taking a nap in the woods. So think about that. Think about the problems you're facing. Think about the things that scare you and the things that bother you and the things that annoy you and the things that depress you. And see what you could do to prepare for them. See what you could do to enjoy those things. I'm not saying you're going to be able to enjoy all of them. I would never say that, but you can probably enjoy a lot more of them than you think if you stop fighting and allow yourself to immerse into the beauty of what the world has to offer you. All right? I'm sure that's way too much rambling for one day, so I'm gonna go now. I love you guys.